What's next for markets after the FOMC? We had bond yields ripping after the Fed cut rates. That is something that we have seen happen before, despite popular opinion. Anyway, it is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. If you guys like the video, maybe give it a like. You can also come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. We do have a sale on as well. Links for all that are in my pinned tweet on X. Let's get into it here today. A lot of whipsaw going on, and we're got about 15 minutes left. And guess where we're at? 6,600. So all that for nothing. And you can actually, something that we're noticing intraday here, that there wasn't really any movement away from that level, like at all, on an intraday, as far as the positioning intraday. Even when we were selling and even when we were pumping, they pretty much stayed around 60. You can see the 65.90, 6,600. They didn't really like remove that and start chasing 65.50. I mean, they did a little bit, and that was the low of the day. And yeah, it was a little miffed right now. We actually got a little scalp off earlier, but it was moving so fast. I really liked this level at 66.20 that we got to, and it just didn't quite. I mean, it pierced it, but I was looking for maybe a little bit more of a dip there, or even a 5-minute dip off of it first to enter, but ended up essentially being the low here, and we did push up off of that, and again, now we're essentially pinned right where we started the day, just around the 6,600 handle. Volatility has come in. Technically, we are lower than when Powell started speaking, but not by much. And there was a lot going on. You can see here, we look at IWM and the Dow and like equal weight S&P. This was a lot stronger in the earlier part of the day, but since the lows, they have not really come off that much, whereas the Qs have. But it's like specific stocks, though, right? Like Palantir, Tesla, Apple to a lesser extent. But then you have like Nvidia, which is still a loser right now, and that's been lagging quite a bit here. IGV has been a winner that has come up off of the lows pretty nicely. So a lot of intraday shuffling and going on, shuffling around going on here. And you can see VIX futures are lower here. I don't think the VIX goes much past, honestly, 1550. It could go to 15 though. There's some activity there that we saw the other day that makes me think we're going to hold about 1550. That said, right now there is absolutely nothing saying the market cannot trend higher tomorrow to 6650, or to the devil's number, everybody's favorite number that everybody wants to hit. Why is that? The bottom line is this back test, and again, I've talked about this, previous. There was a time a few months ago. I'm not sure exactly what day. It might have been right here, but it actually looks like that's what it was. But I was saying, like, look, this is just a back test, right? And that's all this did at the end of the day. It just back tested this breakout area, and again, that happens to coincide with 65.50. So we're moving so fast. Look at these numbers: 66, 65, 64, 67, right? But 65.50, that's the level, and you can see right there, 65.51, low of the day. I showed you there a minute ago on the sheet. It did get, it did perk up a little bit, and it ended up being a put wall to support the market. But yeah, bottom line is that's your line in the sand now, and there's nothing saying the market can't trend higher here. So there's no damage whatsoever. We pulled back intraday. This could be used for fuel for a squeeze tomorrow. It's certainly possible. We could also chop sideways and go into pin to 6,600 by the end of the week. I think that's also very likely as well. That said, that after Friday we will see a lot of positive gamma roll off, and then we have end of quarter after that. But right now, yeah, bottom line, that's really it here. Now for the bond market, and again, is this going to affect stocks? I mean, nothing affects stocks right now. I think the market has to top. If it's going to top, it's got to top on good news, right? It's at this point, bad news is not going to make the market go down. It's going to have to be good news. Now granted, I'll just say this too. I've seen FOMC day do nothing, and then the next day it did like 100-point sell off. There's that. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility to consider. So barring anything like that, this market still can hold up. That's the bottom line. But yeah, for the bond market here again, and I've tried to smash this into everybody's head, and not everybody seemed to come around to it. But I'm sorry, did the Fed cut rates today, or did they raise rates? Because TNX here is up 50 cents, right? The 10-year is up here. The Fed cutting does not mean the long end cannot go down. By the way, the short end was down today, or excuse me, the notes were down today. So the 2-year yield is green. Well, how can that be? But how can that be? The Fed cut. The Fed cut, right? It doesn't really. And by the way, speaking of speaking of cuts, I mean, guys, you gotta. This is another thing I'm smashing everybody's head. The Fed chairman is just gonna do what the 2-year and the 3-month are doing. That's it. All right. So, I mean, if you don't believe me, like just look at the 2-year versus the effective Fed funds, right? So all this talk of, oh, they're going to cut by 50, they're going to cut by 75. I think they're going to do this. Powell doesn't like Trump, so he's not going to cut. He's just going to do what this does. That's it. That's it. All right. So this will get lowered here. I'll lower it when it gets adjusted. It should be about 4.35 now, if I'm not mistaken, on the twos. I got it fixed. This is all messed up now, but either way, or no, it's going to be 4. Yeah, it'll be like 4.15 or something. It doesn't matter. But yeah, like the long end is not governed necessarily by the short end. It just was for many years when we weren't in fiscal dominance. So it's important to understand these changes here. Now, could that be a problem for the market if the long end starts to break out again? Yeah, it definitely can. But I mean, we're a ways away here from any sort of threat. I think they would have to go up pretty quickly. And again, like I said, the market shakes things off. It's been doing that for a while. I think you need good news. That's why I was kind of the opinion that if we were going to top today, you'd want us to just pump first, and then Powell would just be the biggest dove ever, and then maybe you'd have an opening to reverse tomorrow. But all this negative stuff here, it's not bringing the market down. We had like a negative jobs print, the first one since 2020, right? And that the market just went up on that. So that's the case here. Now, that said, I still think that, even if we were to go higher, without a pullback, the risk reward just gets more skewed to the downside. So that said, if you're sizing your positions correctly and you have, you're managing risk properly. And by the way, just so everybody knows, it's not like I don't have longs, just FYI. But yeah, that said, bottom line here, that big level there on ES, that's what I'm watching. And we did slice that trend line. Like I said, we would, if we broke through this, we'd see the door open for more downside and went right there. And a beautiful failure at that low. But anyway, that's the long and short of it. And the Qs here, even starting to back off the highs a little bit. Looks like maybe they'll push it below 590 for the day. I think, what is it, 65.90? Yeah, it was that other level. So maybe we close there. We'll see. But anyway, IWM, look at this candle here. That was wild when it was at the lows. But guess what? It went right up to 245. And it backed off of double top here. So I'm not surprised. I mean, look, it's gone up in a straight line, basically, right into this, double top. You can call it a triple top if you want, but it's been, like, this is the recent one. It's been so long since that one was touched. So I think your best chance here, and again, of this breaking, and I think it can break, is some sort of, you got to flag here or dip a little bit first. Not to say that it can't push through, maybe go to 250, but I think it could end up being a false breakout. So I think that next dip off of that could end up being the one that breaks it out. But anyway, IWM, it's up here. And the NASDAQ's actually down right now. So again, like in just the short time that I've been doing this video, it's 9 minutes. The Dow has outperformed the Russell has outperformed the NASDAQ, and then vice versa. So a lot of noise here. Speaking of the Dow, up 50 basis points, yeah, it's still fine. Right there, 458, a loss of that. Someone asked me about this earlier, and I said 458. Look at where it went today, 457.96. So that's your level on the diamond there. SMH, down 60 basis points. This was weak earlier. This was definitely a little bit of a problem, but they saved it. You had kind of like an island set up there. It got saved. No big surprise there. Nvidia does look soft though. It's in danger of losing 170 here by the close. And it's maybe a lower high here, another one. We mentioned IGV, that's still strong. Still possible, like Island setup, but you know, it's not one until it actually triggers. Still hanging in there just fine. Transports got hit pretty good. So they rejected that pump. And again, watch this trend line here. So that's right on it. Careful with those. XHB took a hit. Again, possible lower high there. IYR scratching out again. Banks, excuse me, XLF made a new high, came back down, and now it's back up. So XLF hanging in there. So XLF still strong, still hasn't closed above that red, but it has held up well. KRE, it did reclaim 64, and I like how it gapped above it too. It has come way off the high, but it, you know, it's back above that key level. So held the 50 MA. Now I want to see if this is strong. This shouldn't take much time. It should just be able to go right off of that. I don't want to see it hang around 64 for too long. XBD been sideways for like 2 months. Maybe a little distribution there. We'll see. But oil, it's funny to me how little oil cares on FOMC days. You'd never know that it was doing anything. So again, still flirting with 64. If it can punch through this trend line, it's got some upside though. So oil hanging in there. XLE up 22 cents. No higher high, but looks okay. It looks like it's going to make one. XOP did make one. Maybe a little cup and handle type look there. And you got your OIH still struggling with 260, but it's chewing away at that supply. Dollar index did exactly what we thought it would, and it hit that low and popped right back up. I didn't get it. I was zeroed in on trying to get that ES low, which I didn't get either. I'm still miffed about that. That would have been a beautiful trade, but yeah, it swept the low perfectly, and we'll see if it follows through here. We'll see if it follows. Maybe if it's in a W bottom, we'll see. Gold, I don't know, looking a little top heavy here. So we got that sell again. I said there was a little uptick in volume, not a lot, and you can see we tried to break above it for a day or two, but no follow through. And now you got selling again on volume. So it did hold that reaction low by the end of the day on GLD. So that's your positive. This is definitely getting a little, I mean, like you lost that momentum, right? Like it had that big thrust, and now it's, we'll see. The weekly close on this will tell us a lot. Let's look at GDX too. Yep, so that's been down each of the last 2 days. So just careful here. It looks like a sell the news in gold, silver, and the dollar. Silver futures aren't broken though. They still have, still trending up. But just be careful. I've been trying to say that when you run up into an event like this, I mean, like you definitely don't want to be a buyer into that. I'm not saying you have to sell, but platinum here, again, looking like a possible lower high there. In fact, yeah, it's definitely one. And now the range is starting to tighten. So platinum, kind of like a triangular pattern now. Palladium, down but not out, right? It bounced off the 20, held the breakup bar. If it can break above 1200, it can pop right back up. And copper down today, and nobody cares. And Bitcoin today, these were all over the map. They started pumping before the FOMC. You can see here on Bitcoin, it started pumping up in the overnight, and then it started pumping at like 1 o'clock. And then it sold off pretty good, and now it's just flat here. ETH is flat to positive too. Daily chart, it's still okay. It's not the greatest. The weekly is still pretty good though on ETH and Bitcoin. So might need more consolidation, but they're still hanging in there just fine. 116.5 still a level on Bitcoin. Anyway, yep, so spiders here, SPX, yeah, they'll hold 66 here by the end. Yeah, it looks like we're closing in 30 seconds, so we'll close between 65.90 and 6600. But yeah, bottom line here, a lot of noise. It's FOMC. But yeah, you know your line in the sand now. I mean, it's pretty clear. So right now, all this was is a back test. If this goes though, we're gonna probably see 650 SPY pretty fast, which is the 20 moving average. But anyway, I'll wrap it up here on that note. You guys take care. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow.